Good day, grade 12 Valenzuelanos, and welcome to the week 5 of our Valenzuela live stream class for contemporary Philippine arts from the regions. I am Miss Esther Q. De Felipe from General Tiburcio de Leon National High School, and I will be accompanying you today as we dive deeper into the wonderful world of contemporary Philippine arts. Yes, we are already on our week 5, and that means we are halfway through the third quarter. For the past few weeks, we have surveyed, investigated, and even evaluated Philippine contemporary arts from many different aspects. Let us look back. First, we have defined arts and described contemporary arts based on its characteristics. Second, we have also identified the major art forms and surveyed our city to see how embedded they are in our everyday living. We investigated the evolution of contemporary arts through the lens of Philippine art history and have seen the many influences of foreign cultures integrated to ours. And just last week, we were able to recognize our honorable Filipino contemporary artists and value their contribution to our society. So maybe, for this week, we can already up the ante and start letting those creative brain muscles work their way out of you as you take on our hashtag CPAR Week 5 Challenge. This CPAR challenge is good for accomplishment just within the day, so that means that you will have to pay particular attention to today's session while letting your hands work its magic. First of all, you will need the following materials. A clean sheet of blank paper. Just take whatever is available within your reach. Second, any art coloring material. You can decide how many you need or how few you need. And of course, you will be needing your creative mind and brave heart to start working and to finish the job within the day. So what is today's challenge about? Here are the simple steps you need to follow. Using only your first name, create an artwork that highlights any one of the art elements and principles that you will be learning today. Then, take a screenshot of your work and post it in your preferred social media account with the above entitled hashtag within the day. That is, hashtag CPAR Week 5 Challenge. So, are you ready to take the challenge? If you all are, kindly punch in that heart button and we will proceed to today's session. The main objective for today's session is based on number 5 of the most essential learning competencies, which targets that each of you will be able to evaluate contemporary art forms based on the elements and principles of art. To accomplish this, we have 3 enabling objectives. First is to analyze contemporary art forms based on the different elements and principles of art. Second, create an artwork that highlights one element or principle of contemporary art. And lastly, is to internalize the significance of elements and principles of art in everyday life. But before we officially start with today's discussion, let us play a quick game. What do you see? To play this game, you only need to name any and all objects or elements that you see in the picture, whether as a whole or in part. You will be given 10 seconds to type in your answer in the comment box. Are you ready? Here we go. What do you see? Timer starts now. Time's up. Great job, everyone! I see that you have truly examined this contemporary art in front of us. Some common answers I see are sabi manok, fish, lines, shapes, colors, form, and even texture. Amazing! It seems that you have been blessed with such keen eyes for observation. And whether what you saw was the overall picture or the many different parts that make it, you are well within your way to accomplishing what we have set out to do. Analyze and evaluate contemporary Philippine arts. More specifically, we would like to evaluate different contemporary art forms based on these elements and principles of art that are prevalent in our present period. So what exactly are these elements and principles of arts? How do we differentiate the two? Elements or ingredients are stylistic features that are included within an art piece to help the artist communicate. The 7 most common elements include line, shape, texture, form, space, color, and value, with the additions of mark making and materiality. These elements do not exist in a vacuum. They can convey meaning and express ideas and feelings. On the other hand, the principles of arts highlight the process of how the artist organizes and puts the elements together. The 8 principles of art are balance, proportion, unity, harmony, variety, emphasis, rhythm, and movement. All of these principles clearly deal with the placement of elements within the artwork. To understand further, we can say that elements are the basic building blocks, or the things inside that make up a piece of art. Most art will contain all of the elements. We can compare elements to ingredients that make up a dish. Each ingredient is bringing something different to the dish. While principles can be compared to the recipe and procedure that we follow in the preparation of a dish. Step by step, it brings together the different elements as it mixes together to produce something new. It refers to how the artist organizes and puts the building blocks together. Now that we have carefully looked at the elements and principles of art, let us now examine how contemporary artists translate these elements and principles in their work. Although these concepts are not entirely unique to contemporary arts, many artists today often go beyond the traditional elements and principles in their work by using new concepts and approaches. Some of these elements and principles have also found themselves evolving as artists find new ways of expressing and presenting each one in what could only be truer to the very characteristic of contemporary arts, a constant push outside the box. The first concept is that of appropriation. When an artist creates a new work of art by taking pre-existing images from other sources and modifies or incorporates those images with new ones, we can say that the artist is appropriating. To appropriate is to borrow. Prints, images, and icons are thus borrowed to produce another art form. It may also combine past from the present, which revives interest to existing forms of art. If you examine this acrylic painting by Ana Bautista, entitled Luisa V, you will see how she has modified Fernando Amorsolo's Dalagang Bukid by adding a replica of an iconic Louis Vuitton duffel bag. By doing so, Bautista has recreated the artwork and incorporated her critique on society's consumerism and attachment to the commodities they acquire. The next element of contemporary art that we would like to highlight is performance. Generally speaking, when we say performance, we actually refer to an artwork created by or presented to an audience. This is most evident in art forms such as theater arts, dance, vocal and instrumental music, and even in street parades and dances such as those we see in local fiestas. But performance as an element can also include the processes used by the artist to create the work. It takes place when the process used to create the artwork is more important than the finished work itself. An example is that of artist Joey Cocobo's propaganda exhibit at the Lopez Museum in 2015 to 2016, where he immersed his audience in an interactive printmaking process by using the bakya of his mother that he carved as relief. The result was a massive collaborative artwork that highlights the fifth commandment to honor one's parents. This collaborative and immersive process thus becomes as important as the finished product itself. The third element is space. It is the element of art through which both positive and negative areas are defined or a sense of depth is achieved in a work of art. Often, space is not clearly shown in a piece, but is an illusion. It is considered as the breadth of art. But in the context of contemporary arts, it also includes the distances or areas that both surround and even those within the components of an item. As an art transforming space, we can experience it firsthand in flash mobs, graffiti arts, in art installations in malls, and even in parks. Here in the city of Valenzuela, we have so many of these art installations in our parks and artwork in our public walls that have transformed our experience of space as an art form itself. One such example is this installation that can be seen in Tagalog Mini Park. Has any one of you personally visited this park? If so, how much did you appreciate this artwork that is placed outside of museum walls for the public to enjoy? Another concept used by the contemporary artists in their artworks is hybridity, which refers to the use of unconventional materials or the mixing of unlikely materials to produce an artwork. Examples of these are the use of coffee for painting and miniature sculptures from pencils. The incorporation of these materials, such as recycled or industrial materials, plays an important role in the meaning of the artwork. In our example, we see artist Andre Manguba use pasta and ketchup to create a portrait of a popular Filipino actor. Its novelty is as striking as its innovation and creativity. It puts the simple and everyday things in life into a different platform than what it is used to. The fifth and last element that contemporary Philippine artists have fully embraced and incorporated in many of their art forms is that of technology. As an element of art, it refers to the usage of technological advancements in the creation of artworks. Contemporary artists have used video and internet as a way of propagating art, not only as promotional materials, but as art forms themselves. These technological tools have paved a wider road for the proliferation of digital art forms and expanded the reach of our growing Filipino contemporary artists to that of the international community. One popular example is that of the animated series Stressing, based on the Filipino comic series written by Huachatan and illustrated by Gajo Baldissimo. Adapted into a digital platform and translated into different languages, it has placed the Filipino culture and folklore into a stage that revitalizes the interest to what otherwise would have been seen as passé. By all accounts, these 5 elements and principles of contemporary art are not exhaustive. There are many more of these that Filipino contemporary artists continue to use and push as they explore their own interpretation of life and living. So, which of these 5 elements of contemporary arts have you decided to use for our CPAR Week 5 challenge? To help you decide a little bit better, allow yourself to reflect on this question. How are these elements and principles of contemporary art applied in your daily life? How do you see these elements and principles affect how you view life and living? Do you see how it is at work, within and around you, at every step you take in this journey of life? Personally, this entire session has reminded me of a quote by Aristotle when he said, "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." As each individual element contributes a particular detail or meaning to the whole, it brings about something beyond a mere aggregate whole, but a masterpiece that connects and breathes life to a story that words alone may never bring to justice. So, when you create your piece of art, be aware that you are contributing to a larger whole that goes beyond that piece of paper you are holding in your hand. Life is the same way. In so many ways, we can always make things grander when we do it together. Before we end our discussion, let us see how much you have learned from today's lesson by answering our checkpoint. What you need to do is to evaluate each artwork that I will be flashing on the screen and identify which art element or principle it highlights. Simply type your answer in the comment box. You will be given 10 seconds to answer each item. Here is our first artwork. What do you see? Did you say appropriation? That's actually the correct answer. Let's see what's next. What's your answer to this PubMat for this animated movie? If you typed technology, then you are right. Our third slide, please. What do you see? So what did you answer this time? Is it performance? You are absolutely correct. Let's now check our next art. Oh, this may be familiar to some of you. Which element does this artwork highlight? Interesting. It seems that you have spread out your answers this time. But for all of you who have answered space, you are absolutely correct. Here's our last artwork for today. What do you see? Yep, that's actually a copy painting of a duck. So if you answered hybridity, then you have once again answered correctly. How many correct answers did you get in our checkpoint? Which items did you actually miss? You are truly amazing. Give yourselves a pat in the back and say, "That's our terrific self. You did a great job today." If you still have questions and clarifications regarding our topic for today, your respective subject teachers are all excited to take those up in your follow-up discussion sessions tomorrow. As we end today's live stream class, and as you start working on your CPAR Week 5 challenge, I hope that you will also find the courage to be creative, not only today, but every day of your life. Stay safe, everyone, and have a blessed day. Padayon.